A lot of you are stuck in this endless abyss. You wake up, you scroll on your phone for hours, then you decide to eat some junk food before your class or before work. Then once your day ends, you go home, you play some video games or binge watch a TV show, then you scroll on your phone for hours before you go to sleep. This was me a couple years ago. Throughout my day, I would endlessly consume content like it was the last day on earth. I ate chips and cereal without care. My screen time was reaching 6 hours per day, and I was binge watching shows at night. During this time period, I feel like I couldn't go anywhere. It felt good because of the dopamine, but I felt lost because I wasn't making any progress in my life. Then, I started to consume personal development content, which sharpened me to who I am today. I started to evaluate my actions, and then I compared them to the habits that I need to do to reach my goals. However, there were 3 habits that were difficult to drop. So here are the 3 habits that you need to quit and how you can change them. The first weak habit is that you seek external validation. Starting something new is scary. You don't want to make a mistake, nor do you know how to start. I'm sure there are times in your life, maybe even today, where you ask your friend or your boss, hey, is this okay? Should I do this? Am I doing this right? Or when you go out with your friends, you wait for them to do something or choose something to eat just because you don't want to upset them. Even with business ventures or job changes, you ask your parents for approval before you make the decision. Look, man, you aren't a baby anymore. This is your life. Stop waiting for someone to give you that approval, the validation that you can actually do it. I get it, man. You want someone to support you, to back up your dreams or that risk. But in reality, that's not how it works. You'll always get pushback from someone who hasn't achieved the same goals as you. And maybe it's from a good place, but most of the time, it's not. Start doing things by yourself. Instead of trying to convince your friends to watch that movie, go watch it yourself. Instead of waiting for your friend to join you in the gym, lift by yourself. Do things by your own choice. People's opinions, especially from those who haven't walked the path that you're on, don't matter. And I get it. It sounds a little scary at first to do things by yourself. You know, when I first started making content, I was afraid of the judgment. And even when I started to do things by myself, you know, that judgment of people seeing you eating by yourself or watching a movie by yourself. But if I ever asked someone if I should start a YouTube channel, they would most likely say no because a lot of people on YouTube don't see success. Thankfully, I've never asked anyone for approval to start a channel. Do the same with your life choices. Don't be afraid of being alone. You are in control of your life. The second weak habit is that you constantly chase pleasure. Honestly, chasing pleasure has been my weakest habit. With my work, I would procrastinate and I would rather watch some YouTube or some Instagram before I actually started doing the work. Instead of working out or playing a sport, I would rather spend my time inside and play video games. And when I was hungry, I would walk inside the pantry and I would pick that cereal or that dessert instead of eating some eggs or some protein because I wanted something convenient. The comfort that you get is holding you back. Come on, man, let's check your screen time. You waste a lot of time on your phone consuming content when you can spend that time on projects or building something meaningful. You would rather watch porn or jerk off instead of using that energy for creation. You're addicted to comfort, and I get it because that used to be me. The reason why you choose the pleasure option first is because it feels good. I'll talk more about that in my next point, but you need to reward yourself with the pleasure. Instead of getting the pleasure first, do something hard first and then reward that action, that hard action, with pleasure. This rewires your brain in knowing that you need to do that hard thing first, that hard task, that task that you don't want to do first, to then get that reward, that 20-minute video or watch that new episode on a different show. It's like when you give a kid an M&M every time he reads one word and then 2 words and then a sentence, and then a paragraph, and then pages. What I'm trying to say is that you pick something hard first because you aren't trained to do something hard. Doing something hard is a muscle, and you need to train it. Fortunately, this decision is something you can control. Like I said, doing something hard or even having focus is a muscle. It's trainable. You just have to decide to do it now and do a progressive overload of training that muscle. So instead of going straight into a 90-minute deep work session, do 10 minutes, do 20 minutes, 30, and then do 20 minutes of recovery and then go back on. You start to build that muscle by doing progressive overload, by adding more minutes and then that reward, and then more minutes and then that reward. That's why a lot of people do the Pomodoro technique, because they work for 30 or 35 minutes and then get their 5 or 20-minute reward, and then they can go back on. They're rewarded for doing that hard work, for that focused work. And whenever I am failing to choose that pleasurable option, I like to remind myself that normal people love pleasure. They like to eat foods that makes them feel good and is convenient. That's why they're fat. They work a job that they hate and they're afraid of asking for a raise just because they're comfortable in that position and they don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation. Normal people go back home, don't work out, watch porn, play video games, and scroll on their phone, and they honestly don't have meaningful relationships. Screw being normal. Do the opposite of what normal people are doing. Don't scroll in the morning. Go to bed early and wake up early. Don't drink alcohol and don't eat a crap ton of junk food. You will naturally avoid picking the cheap pleasures when you start doing the opposite of what normal people are doing. Alright, before my last point, I wanted to invite you to the journey to improve it. A community of people who want to level up their stats. We talk about productivity, health, finance, and much more. The best part right now is that it's free, so there's no risk in joining. If you're a right fit, join us with the first link in the description below. Now let's get back to the video. The last weak habit is that you aren't willing to choose the difficult path. Of course, this is tied in with the pleasure route. You're weak because you aren't willing to go through something hard. Leg day is hard, but you get stronger and faster when you train your legs. You know, making content or that business is hard, but you'd rather watch Netflix and let your dreams and passions die. As I evaluate my life, I think I needed those hard events in my life. All the breakups, mistakes, and embarrassments were hard to go through, but I wouldn't have leveled up my stats without them. A couple days ago, I looked at my old short videos from 2 years ago, which is crazy to say because I started making content 2 years ago, which is completely different from what I'm doing right now. And when I look back at my speaking, today, I'm speaking way better than I did before. Back then, I was speaking too fast. I wouldn't enunciate my words, and my tonality was just off. But I had to practice and practice, which sucked. And honestly, speaking to this camera or this phone has helped me with public speaking as well. You know, instead of me rushing my words a lot and stuttering, I allowed to take more time with my words, especially when I had to hit that 10-minute mark with my presentation. And when I was uploading these videos, that means I'm practicing, which means I wasn't good before, and I knew that I was embarrassing myself because my speaking wasn't that great. With my other channel, I just raw dog those videos where I don't have a script like I have with these videos, and I speak my mind without editing while I try to keep that flow. I know you felt the same way, bro. You're scared of the judgment from others. You also don't want to take the hard path because you're afraid of making a mistake or embarrassing yourself. You have to choose the hard path. You can't just go home, skip your workout, skip your homework, just to play video games because it's hard to do that homework. You have to do the hard things to achieve your goals. Even with hard events like breakups, you can't stay in it. You have to go through it. You have to develop to make yourself better. So then the next relationship can be better because you're a better person. Because you learn from those mistakes. And when you learn from those mistakes, now you're a better person because you went through the breakup. You're not sitting in it. You're not blaming anybody. You're not just depressed and not willing to learn or evolve. You're a better person now because you decided to go through it and learn. Remember, there's tremendous value in doing hard things. That's why you don't see a lot of successful people. If every normal person was able to get success from easy things, then everybody wouldn't have problems. They wouldn't have high debts. They won't be paycheck to paycheck. That's why you have to do the hard things to get the success, to make that business, to make more money. Normal people aren't willing to do the hard things. They just want the quick fixes like crypto or Forex. They want that quick thing because they think those easy things are the needle movers for them to get more money. But in reality, it's the hard work. It's the difficult things. If you only pick the hard tasks, you would be far from normal, which is good. For example, with content, nobody wants to write that script. They don't want to take the time to learn how to edit or make their videos better, or learn how to deliver those videos, or overlays, or more editing things. It's just a difficult process because it's something new. It's a new skill that they have to learn. Nobody wants to learn the game of business because it's hard. And guess what? You only learn from hardships, which comes from you actually taking action. So pick the hardest routes. Do what you want to do, not what other people think that you should do. Do the work and do the opposite of what normal people are doing. I love you, bro. Go improve it. And if you haven't already, check out the latest video right here.